Welcome back to the Wheel Brick. Today we'll be checking out the Lego City heavy duty tow truck with crane. This is set 60467. It's rated A+. It has 793 pieces in it. It came out August 1st of 2025 and it retails for $90 in the United States. Looking on the front of the box, we have the tow truck here, which is actually called a rotator. More on that later. And then you have a dump truck here with some cones, a warning triangle, and 3 minifigures. Flipping the box around, you can see on the back some more images of it, the functions, which there is quite a few functions. You got a picture of the tow truck towing the dump truck going down the road, and then you have a picture of the dump truck dumping the rocks, and then another scenario where it broke down on the side of the road. So let's get into building it. Inside the box, we have 7 numbered bags. We have 2 instruction manuals, one for the dump truck and one for the tow truck. And something very, very surprising, we have 0 stickers on a big Lego City set. Yeah, that's right, you heard me, no stickers. Every decal that you'll see later is a print. So let's get into building it. Here is the completed model of this tow truck and this dump truck, and we also have the minifigures. There is a lot jam-packed into this tow truck, and there's also quite a few features with this too, so let's get into it. We're going to start with the dump truck first. So the dump truck here has 2 boulders in the back of the bed. It has these chains here with a shovel back here that's clipped in, and then it actually does go up and dump, and then it has this little tailgate you can put down, so theoretically you can dump the rocks, but these rocks there's studded parts in here so you can put it on there so they don't roll around, but you don't have to do that if you don't want to. Moving on down here, we have a storage container, which includes 2 cones here and 2 cones on the other side. Moving up here, we have a printed part, which this is usually a sticker, 2 warning lights, and then of course the roof will come off so you can put the minifigures in there. It also has opening doors on both sides, and the interior is pretty basic. There's only a steering wheel, and you got this bar here holding it together. You could call it the drive shaft if you really wanted to, and then you have the 2 seats. Closing the doors here, you can see some little mirrors here, and then the lights down here. And one thing that this does is if I set it down here, you can actually open up the cab to see the little bitty engine, which I think is so neat that they added in a little engine model in there. And of course you can see there's a little first aid kit. This cannot be removed, really, it's just for show, but I think it was really neat that they made a tilting cab to see the engine, and it makes it more playable with this set because since it is a wrecker set, if the thing broke down, you can open it up and try to fix the engine on the side of the road. If that doesn't work, then you can tow it with a big truck. Let's go ahead and close it here. And you can also see there's a little window here to see into the cabin and to provide more visibility on the back. Moving this truck out of the way for now, now we start on the main tow truck model. Probably the best way to start is to show everything before we get into the actual towing mechanism, kind of do an overview. So up front here we have a little bull bar, bush bar, however you want to call it. You got some warning markings here, which are prints. This here, we got headlights. And then the doors on this do not open. They're just this sleek area, but the roof does come off so you can put your minifigures in there. This one has better seats in here, like replicated. You have a little tray here with the steering wheel. I'm not sure how well you could see that, but yeah, you got a little tray in there and a steering wheel. And then you have the garage mechanic logo back here. I'm not sure why they did that, but that's interesting how they put it there. It's also on the side here. Putting this back on, you can obviously see we have warning lights, some more bright lights here so you see going down the road in case it's snowy or whatever. You have the big exhaust here that goes straight up, which is pretty usual on these semi trucks. Down here we have two wheels on each side. Now on the real ones, especially on these heavy wreckers and these rotators, these actually are both turn when you turn the steering wheel. Here it's not replicated. I would not expect that for in this scale, so they don't turn, but it is kind of cool that they added these two up here. They could have just added one, but they did add an extra one, so theoretically you would be turning that. You also have three back here, which is also pretty usual. Also, one other thing, I thought this thing was going to be a lot bigger than it is. It's only a 6 wide. I thought for sure they were going to do like an 8 wide because these big heavy wreckers are usually bigger than the trucks they are towing. Moving down the side here, we have this nice kind of slant here with the logo, and then you have this nice sleek area here with the stabilizers that'll come out. I'll show that here in a little bit. You also have a warning marker here, and that is pretty much the only warning marker because this is part of the stabilizer. And then back here, we have some more stabilizers that'll flip down. I'll show that here in a little bit. But I know why you came here. You wanted to see the tow truck in action, which is what I'm going to do right now. So the way we're going to do this, say, okay, this here just had an accident and flipped over. We have to drive the tow truck up and, of course, put it right next side. And let's say this is the lane here. So let's say this is a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes here, 2 lanes here with a median. You don't want to be blocking a major freeway, so you would pull up into 1 lane and park right up here. But on a normal tow truck, you'd only have a fixed boom, so you couldn't really do it that well. But here we have a rotator boom. What do I mean by a rotator? Well, first of all, we need to put out the stabilizers here so it stabilizes it, because if we're pulling from the side, it could potentially flip the truck. You got a stabilizer there, and then you also have one on the other side we can bring out. Put it down like that. And then we also have some on the back here that'll actually flip over, and then it'll flip down like so. And now we're ready to get the boom out over here and recover this truck. Next up, I don't know if this is really necessary, but I'm going to put it down. I'm going to put the wheel lift down, and then we're going to start putting up the boom. So this is just hand of God operated. It's not like you turn a knob and the boom goes up and goes out, but you do turn knobs to do all the winch stuff. So let's go ahead and put that all the way up. You don't really need it all the way up, but just for the heck of it, I'm going to show what it looks like all the way up. We will go ahead and swing this over now and put it in position, bring out the winch. And you may wonder, okay, well, why is there not a hook here? Well, on a job like this, they would use snatch blocks, and this is what is kind of replicating a snatch block. If you don't know what a snatch block is, it's supposed to double the power of your winch. So if you just had a single winch, you'd have it go down, come back up, and go up like that. So we'll go ahead and put this down here, hook it on here, like so. And now we're ready to flip the truck over. So now we will flip it back onto its wheels, and there we go. We will go ahead and take off this snatch block, and now that it's been kind of wrecked, we don't know if the engine is still good, so we'll go ahead and put this back over in here. Retract the boom, winch up, and there we are. I'm going to actually move this over here, and we're going to get this put onto here. So to do this, we obviously are going to want to put the stabilizers back in, which we fold this little piece up, and then we push it back in. And then we do the same on the other side with the other stabilizer. We have to fold up this part first and fold it in. And then on the back, we have to fold this up and put it like that. And there we are, folded it back up, and we're ready to load it onto the wheel lift. Now we have to kind of drive up here. And I'm actually just going to back this up for the heck of it. Usually there'd be more room, but I don't have the best of room. And so now we have the wheel lift here. And there is an actual drag winch here, which I think is kind of neat. So you'd pull out the drag winch, hook it up to the front, kind of underneath there. If there's a place, yep, there we go. And now you would pull it onto the actual wheel lift. Takes a little guidance here to get it right with your hand. And there we are. Now it's on the wheel lift, and now we can tow it away. Now it's time to drive it back to the shop, and it actually works really well with this wheel lift. It's on a little hinge here, so I did not actually realize it was on a hinge, so you can actually turn the truck and the wheel lift will turn with it. Also, more on this wheel lift, I'm actually going to take the truck off and unhook it from the drag winch here, so we can look at the wheel lift a little closer. You actually can extend it out, which I think is kind of neat. You just pull it out like that. And then, or you can push it back in. So if you don't want to use a drag winch, you don't have to. And you can see what I mean, how it tilts back and forth. And these are actually, the way the wheel lift is built, this is actually fenders on a vehicle like this, like these fenders here, or the fenders on the back here. And I think it just works really well. I didn't think it would work that well to cradle the wheels, but it really does. Taking this off here, I'm going to show the full range of motion with all the functions here. You can see here we have to put the wheel lift, this the furthest the wheel lift can go out, and then to put the boom up, this is the highest that the boom will be able to go up, and then we'll pull it out a little bit more. We got to pull the winch out a little bit more, and it will go to about this height here. Now, the biggest thing with this, the further it goes out, the less weight it can lift. Same thing with the cranes. This is the max that the winch will be out when you lift it from all the way out. But again, you don't really want to be doing that unless, you know, it's a high profile truck and you have to lift it over like a barrier. You're not usually going to be out this far, which, if it's out this far here, you got plenty of leeway and plenty of winch. Go ahead and wind this back up. I'm going to just go ahead and fast forward. Another thing I did want to point out, that this wheel lift can actually go slightly up here because you have more of these hydraulic looking pieces in here. And then it can go down. So technically you could put it back up if you really wanted to put this in the air. I don't know how well this would work. Yeah, that doesn't really work very well. It would more like just drag the back. You can hear it dragging. But if you really wanted to, you could put it way up. And then we're going to go and put this back down. But usually the way you'd be going down the road, you would want to have this up anyway so it doesn't drag and all of that. Another nice detail I'd like to point out is that they have this bar here, which on rotators, they usually have this bar. So it kind of protects the winch, and it also protects like not getting hit over here. So it's nice that they replicated the bar. Another nice detail is where it hooks into the boom here for these hydraulics. They actually put transparent pieces on here to replicate lights, which I think is really cool because that's actually how it is on a real rotator, to have lights kind of shining on the work site here at night. So I think that it's really cool that they added that in, and a nice little touch that you may not notice right away. You can also see they put lights down in here, which is also pretty common for rotators. These are more like, so you can get into your little toolboxes here. This one does not actually have toolboxes, but if it did, that's how you would see about the toolboxes. You can also see warning lights here and some warning lights here. Another thing with this, just like the dump truck here, the cab will actually tip forward and there's an engine in there. So first you'd have to push the brush bar down, and then you pull this out and you can see there's a nice little engine in there. So I mean, technically, if the tow truck broke down, which would be a bad deal, you could go in and repair it. And also, speaking of that, we have a warning triangle here. in this little toolbox area, and then we also have a wrench. This little warning triangle is printed here. This is not a sticker, so what you would do is that you would have it down here, kind of warning, well, it would really be behind the whole like wreck, like warning other drivers, hey, there's a wreck or something, get over to the other lane. And that's the same thing with these cones also, what you'd want to do. Oop, I lost the load there for a second. I guess I'm going to have to put that back in. But you can see there's 4 orange cones here, and you can kind of block the lane that you're working in to make it safer for the workers. I will say, when I first saw this and the way the stabilizers are, I didn't think that they were actually useful, but they are, because if I just let this go, you can see it starts to tip. But if I were to bring out the stabilizer, it no longer tips when I let go. And I'm glad that, because these just kind of look flimsy, but I'm glad that they are actually functional. What are my finishing thoughts on this? I think this thing is a great tow truck. I'm so glad they did the rotator boom style, because they've always done like just fixed boom. Well, the boom went up and down, but it didn't go like 365 degrees. And also it did not have multiple winch lines. They've only had like just a wheel lift or just a hook, not both. The most comparable set to this is the Lego City 7642 Mechanics Garage. It had a truck, like a broken down truck. It had a bunch of lifts and then a garage, and it also had a orange tow truck. I'll put a picture right here. That tow truck had a fixed boom. It only went up and down and didn't go back and right. That's what I mean by fixed boom. And then it had a winch line and a wheel lift, and that was about it. Back in 2009, that set costed $100 USD. And it kind of brings me on to the next point about this set. The price of this set is actually pretty similar to the price of the big garage with the tow truck and the tow vehicles, which back in the day was $100. This is $90, all in United States dollar. But I do think that the reason this is priced so high is because there's a lot more features with it. Of course, the tariffs, as we all know. But that other tow truck was a pretty basic tow truck. It didn't look this sleek. It didn't really have the big boom that swivels over. This one has some new parts in it, so that's why it does cost a little bit more than I think. With that said, I would wait for a sale on this. I don't really think it's worth $90 US. I kind of would like to see it around $70 or $80 US, not $90. So unless you've been looking for an actual tow truck like this for a very long time, I'd say go for it, but you're better off for waiting for a sale. So those are my thoughts. Let me know yours. Put them down in the comments. Make sure you subscribe to the Wheel Brick. Follow the Wheel Brick on Instagram. Make sure you like this video if you like this sort of content, and I will see you next video.